We interviewed MHS art teachers to get insight on how being an artist has impacted their lives, as well as how their art reflects on themselves.
I get something from it, doing it, and just so much enjoyment or satisfaction of like I made this. So yeah, it means a lot. You think of the things that are important in your life. If you think like top 5, art's definitely one of those for me.
Art has been with me my whole life. I can't imagine life without it. It's one of the reasons I wake up in the morning. It's influenced my career. It helps me as a stress reliever, so I think it's huge, 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 huge. Love it.
Art's the only thing I've ever really known. I've gone from being an artist to teaching artists, so I guess art's really the center of my life.
I've always grown up with art around me, and I've decided to make my entire career around it and kind of spread my passion to my students and kind of get them to appreciate art for art's sake and learn how to create with their own hands.
And I do art. It lets me let go of things. It's very therapeutic for me. It's a lot of work and it's intense sometimes, like really thinking and working, but you get lost in it, and it's so nice and therapeutic for me. Yeah.
I like to share, my art with other people, so I feel like that's a good way to do that, where I don't really have to explain much verbally, but I get to kind of show them how I'm feeling and, what stage of life I'm in.
I do graphic design, so most of what I do is for other people, but every once in a while I enjoy being creative for myself. Like over spring break, I wanted a t-shirt for my old high school, but I didn't like what they were selling, and I really didn't like their logo, so I just designed one just for me.
For me, art is just an escape. I can literally spend hours without realizing working on something I'm throwing on the wheel or something I'm painting or drawing, and it's just a nice escape from the kind of craziness, the busyness of everyday life, and it's just a way for me to just kind of calm myself.
Next, they explain their artistic processes and preferences when creating art.
Inspiration to become an art teacher, so Miss Wright at Middletown Middle was a big inspiration of mine, and of course Miss Lehman.
I'm inspired by the design I just see around me. T-shirts, websites, advertisements, posters, we're all surrounded by design every moment of the day, and it's almost impossible not to notice as a designer, the good and the bad.
I get a lot of personal inspiration from my dad. He's kind of like, he's a woodworker, an artist, always creating something and putting these things together. And so I think I get a lot of inspiration, from him.
Definitely just other cultures all around the world. I love exploring different countries and seeing what their artwork looks like. And I think it's something that's so universal. You don't need to understand the language to really have an appreciation for their art.
It's intrinsic. It's in me. I just, I come up with something and I gotta make it and I want to make it.
I just liked to see what I could create. It was almost like a challenge to see, could I get this the most realistic, or could I match these colors, or can I, create a form that was 2 feet tall. It was just a place to challenge myself in ways that other things didn't really challenge me that much.
I don't create art for myself. Everything I do is for other people. So my greatest motivation is just creating something that makes them happy and satisfies their needs.
I think it's a stress reliever. Again, I like to also share a part of me with a community, an art community. I like to share it with my students. I like to show people how I'm feeling when sometimes it's hard to tell people how I'm feeling.
I'm mostly a painter, but I do a lot of different things. Therefore, I was doing these key sculptures, but mostly a painter. I like oils the best, but lately I've been working in acrylic just because it dries quicker.
Subjects, I like a lot of plants and foliage, trees, anything from the natural world. And then mediums, I'm really into printmaking at the moment. So carving up linoleum or wood and rolling some ink on there and printing it.
For drawing and painting, I love portraiture. I love the challenge of trying to make something look realistic and like that person. I think you can really tell a lot about the person from their face. And I also like making anthropomorphic still lifes, which they just give human-like qualities to those objects. And then for ceramics, I love doing lots of functional pieces like teapots, and I also like doing lots of sculpture work as well, which goes back to the portraiture.
I'm almost all digital, so I use programs like Photoshop and Illustrator.
I like people and mechanical things, like, people and mechanical type things is what I really like drawing.
So I started with charcoal and oil painting. I will say oil painting is probably still my number one, and obviously ceramics is my number two. I love just different aspects about each of them, and just the ability to create something out of nothing.
I think I'd like all non-artists to know that art isn't easy. It isn't always easy. It takes a lot of thought and figuring and how's this work. So I think, a lot of people just think students that are artists, it's just so easy for them. But it is hard work, and everything isn't easy,
I would like all non-artists to know that art's not just a photograph or a painting. It's something that we interact with every day, whether we realize it or not. Art is architecture, it's theater, it's everyday objects that we could use as mediums instead of these very traditional forms that we're used to.
There's no such thing as a non-artist. There's just people who haven't been taught yet. People think too often that being artistic is something that you're born with. You either have it or you don't. But if that were true, then there wouldn't be art classes. So just give yourself a chance.
They were born artists, and they just have to practice and find something that they love to do, and they can be artists themselves. So I don't think anyone's a non-artist. I think they need the opportunity and a little bit of training and a little bit of fun to become an artist.